Hi everyone, in this video we'll talk about the function rename, which is in package dplyr, and this will help you rename the columns that you have in your datasets or in your extracted dataset or in a modified dataset that you have when you talk from processing from a raw file to a file that you have reached up until now. Many a times we want to rename a particular column and we don't like the raw name from the source that we extracted. So what do we do in that case? Do we export the file and then change the name in the CSV format or in the Excel format later on? Yes, you can do that, but it's always efficient to script it out and write it in the function itself so that you don't need to care about the renaming of columns later on. And if the column name does not make sense in the first place, then that is the first thing that you can do before starting your modification process on that raw file. So with that, let's dive into it. As always, I'll first clear the environment and the console. So I'll clean the environment by rm list is equal to ls. My environment is empty, and control plus L so that the console is empty as well. I'll import the same sales order dataset that we have been using in the series so that there's no doubt as to which dataset we are using. Now the sales order dataset has been loaded. We can view the dataset here. It has columns of order date, region, rep, item, units, unit cost, and total. Now if you notice, the column of total is basically multiplication of units into unit cost. In a way, that's revenue from that order date, right? In this order date, this much revenue was collected. So actually this total column is revenue that I can account for. So it makes sense to rename this column to revenue rather than total, right? So that's what we'll do in this exercise, and I'll just close the dataset. Let me go back to the R script and we'll load the dplyr package. Now the package is loaded, and now the syntax. So the syntax for rename is, as I've highlighted on the screen, you have to just use the rename function. New column name is equal to old column name, and it's just that simple. You don't need to remember something else. You just need to know new name comes first, old name comes second. Just do n is equal to, the column name will change. Now the function will give you an error if the old name that you have typed does not exist. That means you'll have to open the dataset and know which name you have to type. That's the only thing you gotta know, right? So I'll just try this statement. I have made this dataset called sales order revenue. I did the sales order dataset, chaining operator, rename. I want to make the column name revenue. So this is my new name, and total is the old name which is already present in the dataset, right? I'll just run this chunk, and I have a sales order revenue dataset, and you can see the last column of this dataset is in fact now called revenue, and now it makes a lot sense to me that it's called revenue. If I close this out now, what if you want to make sure that your column headers or your column names are in uppercase consistently? So when you are coding or when you're working with datasets, there's a certain requirement. Some people like it to be lowercase throughout. Some people like it to be uppercase throughout, because that's how generally there is a writing standard. So what if you have column names where 3 of the columns have uppercase, 2 of the columns have lowercase, and it's not consistent throughout? You would first like to make sure that they are consistent throughout, either in uppercase or in lowercase, and then probably rename them, right? So to do that, there is a rename function as well, but it attaches with a with in front of it. So it's called rename with, and the conditions you can put inside this bracket are 2 upper or 2 lower. So I'll just will show you by creating a new data frame called sales order revenue upper. So the sales order revenue dataset that I created by renaming revenue column, I'll just convert its all column names to upper function. So it says sales order revenue chaining operator to rename with to upper, and this will convert it to uppercase. And I'll run this chunk. All right, and if you see, so revenue upper, all my column names are in uppercase. So that makes it consistent and easy to work with. What if you wanted to do it for lowercase? The only condition is you change 2 upper to 2 lower, and I have created a new data frame called rev underscore lower, sales order rev underscore lower, and if I just click on that, you'll see all the column names are back into 2 lower. So it's very easy if you want to change the format of column headers to upper, to lower, or to rename the column header itself. That's it for this video. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.